Oh, this feels weird. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is another flashback. We are flashing back to when I was between 4 and 8 weeks pregnant, which just seems crazy to think about because I am 19 weeks tomorrow as I film this. So I know normally people do these as kind of live updates, weekly or bi-weekly or things like that, but I did explain in my 2-week wait video, which if you haven't already seen, I will leave linked in a card. Yeah, so I'm basically gonna go through kind of how I was feeling and all of that kind of stuff from weeks 4 to 8. So apologies if I look down because I have made notes, because I mean, I had baby brain before I even got pregnant, let's be honest. So apologies if these are kind of a bit all over the place. I've tried to go by the app that I was using when I was inputting symptoms and kind of weekly did them, but generally they kind of more or less consisted for the 4 weeks. So that's why I kind of thought this 4-week block would probably work best. So the first kind of symptom that stuck from pretty much when I got my BFP was that my appetite dramatically decreased. Like pretty much, I'd say I've only really got it back in the last few weeks. So it lasted quite some time. And it was a bit of a weird thing for me because I'm a massive foodie. I have the appetite of an Italian, and it just felt so weird to just not feel hungry. Not to mention how difficult it kind of just made day-to-day life, because my husband normally would come home at lunch and he'll either make something for himself or I'll make it for him, and generally I'll cook dinner in the evening just because it works out fairer that way, because obviously we've been in lockdown in the UK, so I haven't really been doing anything. So I said, you know what, I'll be cooking dinner, so don't worry. But the last thing on my mind is food. I cannot think meals, I cannot think what I want, and it's not through necessarily not wanting something in particular or wanting like something over something else. It's just food, full stop, did not appeal to me at all. And it very much got to the point where I noticed like my blood sugars dipping, and I knew that I needed to eat something pronto or I was gonna be sick, because I just didn't feel hungry, which is just the most bizarre feeling in the world. And I hope that doesn't come back. So the other thing that I kind of noticed, which isn't particularly abnormal for me, but it only really stuck around for those initial few weeks, kind of started around week 4 to 5, and that was shortness of breath. And I was just like, what the frig is this? Like, I've got asthma, so I don't struggle to breathe at the best of times, but it was just something else. I cannot explain it. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I live in a bungalow, so I don't have to contend with stairs on a daily basis, which is I'm very grateful for. But my husband was so confused. He was like, how come you have shortness of breath? You're literally like 5 weeks pregnant. You're like barely even pregnant. Like, what the hell? I was like, I don't know, but it's real. It's friggin' there, and I'm struggling. But like I say, it didn't last too long. It probably lasted throughout those initial few weeks. I have noticed that recently it hasn't been anywhere near as bad. Obviously in the UK at the moment, as I'm filming this, we are having to wear masks if we go kind of to any shops or anything like that, and obviously I am having to wear them for work. And I'm noticing for that I am struggling a little bit, but day to day it's kind of gone. The other thing I noticed, which I thought was really weird, was an increase in thirst. My mouth felt so dry for so long, and I don't know if that is because like I wasn't eating as much and things like that. I don't know. And we had a bit of a kind of crazy weather spell back in May. So I don't know if it was because of that or not, but it's not something that I've felt very often before. I'm pretty bad when it comes to drinking, like especially like drinking water and stuff, so I did think it was a bit kind of not odd. Obviously it was a good thing because it was my body telling me what I needed, but it's like one of the big kind of standout symptoms for me, along with fatigue. Oh my god, I personally suffer from something called CFS or ME, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. So I generally am tired all the friggin' time, and no matter what I do, it doesn't ease. So being pregnant on top of that, it's been a bit of a shock to the system, to say the least. The pregnancy fatigue has subsided quite a lot recently, which is a really good thing, but in the early days it was just so hard. Like, I was napping during the day, and obviously I could do it then, I can't do that so much now, but obviously I listened to my body and I just slept when I needed to sleep. But yeah, that was a massive thing for me. The other one that is a bit maybe TMI, but really is like a massive early pregnancy symptom, I think, for a lot of people: flatulence. That hasn't really gone away. I mean, I'm not going to be one of them people that says I'm a woman, I don't fart. I fart when I need to fart, but oh my freaking god, since finding out I was pregnant, I have just been like an absolute fart machine. I don't know what it is. Obviously I'm not really eating very much. It's nothing that I'm eating that's causing it, or I mean, I don't know if it's hormones. Is it? I don't know. But yeah, that was a massive standout for me. I was like, there's definitely been an increase. So yeah. So the only things I've kind of blocked weekly, so from week 5 I've said all of the above. My sore nipples returned, which if you've seen my 2-week wait video, which I hopefully would have uploaded a few days ago, you'll know that I mentioned that I had sore nipples while I was in my 2-week wait. It kind of went away and then it came back from week 5. It didn't really stay around for very long. I guess it was just hormones kind of adjusting and things like that. So that was one of the things in week 5. My bowel movements, again, if you watch my 2-week wait video, you will know that was the massive sign for me that I was pregnant. My bowel movements were normal. So I had no constipation, no diarrhea, no, you know, adverse things going on down there. Everything was normal. So yes. And then I also had the odd day of nausea. Now this kind of only really came about when I first woke up. So for me, I think it was just an indicator that I needed to eat something ASAP, else I was just gonna feel crap. So that was that. From week 6, unfortunately, is when the constipation started. So my bowel movements, like I said, they didn't last very long, probably about 3 weeks, which for me is fairly good around when I'm expecting my period. I'm used to feeling pretty constipated for a lot of the time, and I knew that it was quite a common thing in pregnancy. So yeah, that came about. My boobs themselves, rather than just my nipples, were tender, so just kind of a little bit tender to the touch, almost like when you're due on, and they're just kind of a little bit sore to touch. So that was that. And again, had a few odd days of nausea. I only threw up a few times. It was completely random. I didn't really feel sick before I physically was sick, but then when I was, I felt fine again. So it was almost like it didn't feel like morning sickness as such. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that. So from week 7, I put my bowels were all over the fucking place. Honestly, I went from having constipation to diarrhea in the space of an hour. It was just crazy. Like I say, this was probably down to the fact that my diet was here, there and everywhere. So that was probably a massive contributing factor to what was going on internally, and obviously my body just being like, what the actual going on right now. So yeah, that was a massive thing, and it was very hard to kind of predict what was going to happen. There wasn't anything that I could do to kind of help one and relieve the other or anything like that. I just kind of had to ride it out, and it didn't really last that long. I mean, they've kind of been here, there and everywhere over the last few months, but nothing awful. Like, I haven't been in pain or anything like that. I've not got to the point where I've been like dehydrated or anything, so I'm happy with that. My boobs were still tender at week 7, and this is the point where I said week 7, but I'm pretty sure it started earlier than this. I just might not have put it on my app. I'm pretty sure it started from week 5, and that was my headache started. So I say headache as a general like term, not plural, because it is still there now. It has been constant 24/7 for the last 13 weeks. It has just been relentless. I have been checked, my blood pressure and my urine has been checked. I am perfectly fine. Like I say, I am upping my water intake and things like that just to make sure I'm not dehydrated or anything. I don't know what it is. One doctor just said it's probably just a tension headache. Others have said, I don't really know, it might be pregnancy related, it might not be, just kind of ride it out and just see how you get on. So that is what I have been doing. I have been just taking paracetamol, and I've been using that forehead stick thing for the last few weeks just to kind of see if that will help in any way. Nothing really seems to get rid of it. I just kind of have to plod along with it, unfortunately. So yeah. And then the only thing I've got for week 8 was basically a repeat of week 5 and 6 and the random vomiting. So like I say, there was only a few days where I was ever physically sick, which I'm very grateful for. So yeah, like I say, my bowel movements were kind of all over the place. I had sore boobs and I had just random nausea. That was pretty much the only things kind of noticeable in week 8. So yeah, that basically summarizes the first 8 weeks. So the only things other than symptoms I wanted to touch on were the fact that I changed from taking just folic acid and like an over-the-counter vitamin D tablet. I was taking that like prior to finding out, and then once I did find out, then I switched to just like a standard prenatal multivitamin. I was taking the 7Cs one initially, and then I switched to Pregnacare just because you can kind of buy it in bulk. But yeah, that's pretty much the first kind of initial few weeks of my pregnancy. I would say they were pretty smooth. Needless to say, I am very lucky. I am fully aware of how lucky I have been. Everything went really smooth. It had just been, for want of a better phrase, it was a textbook, like, early pregnancy. Like, it was just, I couldn't have wrote it any better, like how I'd want it to go. So yeah, I am very grateful, obviously, to be in this position now, even still be pregnant and things like that, because I know those first few weeks can be so, like, nerve-wracking, and I was so nervous, and it's a reason that I didn't really film these update videos as it was happening, because I just felt like I was going to jinx something if I started talking about it. So I'm glad I'm way past 12 weeks now, and that I can kind of talk about it a bit more kind of openly and freely to you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it in some way helpful. If you are in early pregnancy at the moment and you are suffering with certain things, just know that you are not alone. It is probably more than likely very normal, but if you do have any concerns, just make sure you speak to your GP or your midwife or whoever your primary caregiver is at this time. And yeah, I hope you're doing really well. Make sure to give this video a like down below, and make sure you leave a comment. Let me know one positive thing that's going on in your week, because I'm I'm all about spreading some positivity at the moment, because we are going through a lot of shit as I'm filming this. So yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I say, I am playing catch up, so I'll be doing quite a few updates kind of consecutively. And yeah, I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys.